just thinking, what is it about trust? You know, trust, it's something where I have a relationship with you, and if I break that trust, it's really, really hard to earn it back, right? I mean, if I do something to you that makes you think I can't trust you anymore, then maybe we don't even have a relationship that works anymore. Trust is such an interesting thing because you can't see it, you can't touch it, but you certainly do know when it's present, and you certainly do know when it's not. And the more we trust somebody, the more vulnerable we are, and the more vulnerable we are, the more we might share. And if somebody takes that and they break it, they gossip about you or they share your secrets with somebody else, then all of a sudden that trust is broken. Now, what's interesting about that is my trust might be broken with you and our relationship can't be fixed. But I could walk down the street and start a new relationship with someone else, and that relationship begins with trust until it's broken again. That's so strange, isn't it? That I could get a brand new experience of trust from someone else that I might never have from someone that I broke my trust with. It's such a funny thing. I'm not sure why we care so much. I'm not sure why it so deeply hurts us when our trust gets broken, but it really does. It's ingrained in us. It's so deep. But it reminded me of a conversation that Jesus was having with his disciples. And Peter asked Jesus this question. He said, Jesus, how many times should I forgive my brother or sister when they've sinned against me? Up to 7 times? And Jesus, if you know the story, he looked at him and he said, no, not up to 7 times, up to 77 times, which sounds like a lot. But then he gave this example, and this story that Jesus told was about a man who had owed a great debt, and he begged his master, please, 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 please. Please don't make me pay it back. And the master showed mercy to him. And he said, you know what, I'm going to relieve that debt for you. But then this man, he runs out of the building excited and runs into people that owe him some silver. And instead of extending the same forgiveness to them, he turns to them and he says, I want my money back and I want it back now. And when they couldn't pay it, he threw them in jail. And when the master had found out about the way he treated his servants, well, he was really, really upset, as you can tell. And Jesus said that this is how God feels about us when we don't forgive one another. Isn't that wild? That when our trust is broken and we choose to hold that against someone, that Jesus says, don't you know how much you've been forgiven? So my question for you this morning, no matter what you might be going through when it comes to relationships and trust, I just want to ask you a question that has to do with you. Do you know how much you've been forgiven? Because I think if we know how much we've been forgiven, then it changes our perspective on life, right? Because if I know how broken I am and how bad I've messed it up with God, and how bad I have broken my trust with God thousands of times, maybe many, many times daily, if I can come to terms with that, then maybe I can see the world differently, and maybe not just the world, but the people that God loves differently. And maybe my actions towards them might not be so judgmental if I'm willing to forgive like He's forgiven me. Something to think about today. I hope you have a great day, and I'd love to see you again next week.